Do you need help purchasing your car insurance? Head on over to AutoDeal.com.ph/car-insurance. Here, you can compare prices and customize your insurance coverage from many of the Philippines' top providers. When you've selected the insurance that's best for you, simply fill out the application and complete the transaction with ease through Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, or PayPal, and receive your policy within the next business day. Get the best deal on insurance with AutoDeal. About a handful of years ago, MG came out with a product here in the Philippines, which I figured then was really going to ruffle the market. It was the dark horse, I called it, because the MG ZS, or now the ZST, which is what I'm talking about, it came in and, people weren't expecting it. It was a good car, it was priced really, really well, and overall, people actually enjoyed the buying experience and the ownership as well. Today, MG hopes to replicate that with a much larger vehicle. This is the 2022 MG HS. I wish I could tell you what HS stands for, but unfortunately, I have no idea. I have no idea what the ZS really stands for. But anyway, this car, I don't know if you can tell with it being my small frame, it's much, much larger than the MG ZST. Size-wise, it's probably closer to the Ascara, the Toyota Corolla Cross, and the CX-5. Now, on today's video, I'm going to go through some of the exterior, some of the interior, and some driving, whatever driving it is that we can do in this private subdivision. Most of the driving experience we'll save for when we actually get the car for a proper review. But for today, on its launch, I want to talk you through some of the points that I just recently mentioned. So let's start with the exterior. Up front, let's start with the grille. This grille is all new. It's not comparable to any of MG's products. It's got like a 3D floating, very sharp accent to it, which actually looks very good. It's got some faux plastics down here, not faux plastics, but some plastics down here, and then chrome that surrounds the grille. Your lights are full LEDs with DRLs found up on top, and then this angled part down here are also DRLs. These are also your sequential turn signals, which we'll show you a video of that a little bit later. It actually looks pretty darn good. LEDs for your fog lamps as well. The total look of the car from the front, it's not a very young look. It's definitely not a boomer, but it's got a mature look to it. It's got a calm look to it, which I actually quite like. It works well with the entire size of the automobile. It's not small and compact and way too young, no. It connotes, well, a bit of stability really is what I'm trying to get at. Let's move down the side. Here on the sides, you've got 18-inch wheels wrapped with 50 series tires. Now these are 50s, and I actually thought when I first saw the automobile that the tires were a little bit too skinny, or thin rather, for the general size of the car itself. But in all honesty, the way that I look at the wheels in the wheel wells, it actually fits really, really well. Also, I'd like to point out that the wheels are color silver, but they're actually two-tone. See, the darker parts are here in the middle, and then what you can see, or rather it's exposed to everything else, is a lighter shade of gray. So it's not as contrasting as, let's say, the wheels of the ZST, where it's silver and black. No, this is gray on gray. And I think that two-tone really, really works well. I remarked earlier, and I'm probably wrong on this, but when I first saw it, I actually thought it was the wheel of a Porsche. I have no idea why, but they look good nonetheless. So you've got disc brakes up front and at the rear, and then you're looking at roughly about 170 to 173 millimeters of ground clearance. Then you've got repeaters on your side mirror, and chrome accents can be found rather on the side, from your roof rails to around the window sills, your door handles, and even more chrome found down here. Now let's move on to the back, shall we? At the rear, again, you've got LED tail lights in a very spawning, I like to say, spawning configuration that I like very much, with a third brake light found up on top, and then above that, obviously, your shark's fin antenna. What I do want to point out, which I think is really, really cool, is that there are two exhaust tips that are actually being used, and that I like very, very much. One right here, and one right here. Now, to open her up, unlike the previous models of MG, which are 5 doors, normally you would flip the emblem, much like you would on a Mini Cooper. Here, you now have a power tailgate. Very, very nice. Now, the power tailgate will roughly reveal about 160 liters of space. That's obviously with the second row kept up. And when you fold the second row, because it's flat all the way through, you're looking at over 1,250 liters of space. And then underneath this flat bottom, you will find just a little bit more cubby compartments. And then underneath that, your spare, which is a donut, space-saving donut. And it's nice too because it's flat, so lifting, or rather putting in heavier items, bulkier items, especially for a short person like me, you just basically slide it in. And then power to close. They wanted me to show you this, that no matter how much it closes, it's supposed to come back up. It did not go back up. But it's supposed to work. It's just maybe because I'm small and they probably think I'm luggage. Will it close now? Yeah, okay, now it closes. But trust me, it does work, okay? It really does. Meet me on the inside for the second row. The second row provides, I would like to say, a lot of space, clearly a lot of space. Now, this is a glass panoramic roof, which would occupy more space, but a much taller individual than me would actually have no issues sitting in here like this. Look at the amount of space is ridiculous. And even for a third passenger, since there is little to no tunnel, it wouldn't be an issue. Obviously, the third passenger would be much, much smaller than the 2 other passengers here, but really, no issues there. The seats are comfortable. It's leather, not highest quality of leather, but good quality leather nonetheless. And then there is a little bit of Alcantara just found here in the center. I guess sort of like a design, kind of like a soul patch. Sorry, I had to say, I made Jack laugh. Before I get to the toys back here, I would like to point out how when you're loading stuff in the back and you want to maximize the space inside here, the cabin, when you fold the second row down, there is a click. See, it locks into place, which it may not seem like much, but that's really a lot because when you're loading, let's say, bulkier items, but not necessarily heavier items, these things can tend to dance around when you're driving. But since they lock in place, then you can tell that everything's just going to be flatter, more secure, right? So again, it's not much, but that's something that I actually find pretty cool. What is that, dirt? Okay, so let's get that out of the way. So other than collapsing forward, of course, the seats also do recline ever so slightly, which is, why am I having a hard time getting that up? I need to get my butt into the gym. Okay, so toys back here include 2 air vents found down here and in the center. And then you've got 2 USB charging points. And then if you move back up here, the center armrest is actually very nice with brushed aluminum, I might add. Very premium. Doesn't that look nice? You've got a cubby hole here. You can tuck away a couple of things, and then cup holders that appear out of nowhere. On the doors, you've got bottle holders and speakers as well. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you do have a share of the panoramic roof. Other than that, that's really not much else. But the fact that it's really a very comfortable car. Rather the seats, not the car itself. But if we're just talking about the seats, it's actually very comfortable. It's very relaxing. More often than not, I do love to drive, and it's Jack that likes to sit in the passenger seat and give me feedback on what it feels like. But here, I think I'd be jealous if I did all the driving. I'd like Jack to do some of the driving as well so that I can enjoy actually these rear seats. Bolsterings, not much, so ingress and egress, like so, sliding in and out, won't be an issue for either taller passengers, slower passengers, or senior passengers. You know what I mean? Let's get to the front and talk you some of the... Oh, this is very important. Before we go, please take note of this health air vent here, this whole system right here, and I'll tell you exactly why that's important when we transfer up front. I'm going to show you that as we get in. It's important because I'm going to open this up. Well, before I do, there's a button here that says Health Air. It actually says Health Air. What it is that MG has fitted the HS with an air filter. So the filter's in here, sucks air in through ear, and then blows it out to the back. Now the filter is not a third party, so it's only with MG that you can get these filters on, and the amount of times that you need to change it in a specific year, I guess, would depend on the air quality that is around us. Whether you open your windows a lot or you don't open your windows a lot, it's still up in the air, but at the very least, what we're trying to get at is there is a system that is available. This box too is actually pretty cool because when you turn on the air conditioning, there is a vent inside to actually cool the entire box. Much like you have cold cup holders, it's a cool box, so that if you want to put a bumisateur, you can eventually. Wow, that's really nice. Okay, so let's move on to the interior, the business end of the car. So first, the dashboard. I like the dashboard because it's soft. It feels good to the touch, and it does look very, very premium. It's got a couple of textures, like this part of the dash that is closest to you is smooth. Then it gets a little bit rougher here, and then you've got some sporty holes here, which actually looks pretty good. That's what you're gonna call it, right? It's pinholes, not holes. Pinholes.
Perforated.
Perforated. There you go. Thanks, Jack. Perforated area here, which just adds to the general look of the car, the premium look of the car. And then the air vents, if you notice, they're not exactly just sticking out of the dashboard like if it were flush. It kind of like pops out a little bit, which is pretty cool. And this might be the only time that I'm actually okay with piano black plastic being inside the car, because it's so far from anything that's going to really get a lot of scratches from keys or fingerprints, kind of a thing. So it does kind of look good. It looks like the engines or the turbines of a jet, really. That's actually cool. The instrument cluster is more than 12-inch screen that it's all digital, that has all the functions that you need, so that you never need to really take your hands off the steering wheel when you're communicating or you want to communicate things with the automobile. It does have cruise control, but it's not on the steering wheel. It's a stock found down here. Might be a little bit weird to some people because you can't really actually see it. To be able to see it, you need to turn the steering wheel just a little bit to see that it's there. So it's one of those things that you kind of need to like study a little bit just so that you could use it without any issues. On the steering wheel, you have your audio and mobile controls, as well as controls to control, that's a lot of control, to rifle through, shall we say, your infotainment system. Now, your infotainment system is a 10.1-inch touchscreen. It does have Android and Apple capabilities. And if we turn it on, actually, the home screen will look very familiar because it will be exactly the same as the other MG products. See, these colors right here are immediately, you can tell that it's the same as what we found on on other MG products. So like I did mention that there is Android and Apple capabilities. It's not wireless though, you do have to plug it in. To access this system, you can use the touchscreen, but there are shortcut buttons found down here for your air, for your car, and your home buttons, and your audio controls as well. Mind you that I would like to say that these are only shortcut buttons, so if you want to manipulate the settings, so let's say for example, I want the air, so I press the shortcut for the air. Is it pressed down? Yeah. And then it shows the aircon controls. I then can manipulate this fan speed and the temperature from the system itself, or rather from the screen itself. And then just down the center console, there's more brushed aluminum with 2 USB points, a 12-volt socket, more brushed steel here, electronic parking brake, auto hold, and then cubby holes that you can put your bottles in, which carry large to medium-sized bottles. And even this small, I don't have my phone with me, but this compartment here is actually big enough to even fit the new iPhones. You won't be able to fit it anywhere else except here, and if you have even larger phones than that, then I guess you have to relegate yourself to the cup holder. Now, there is one other thing that I would like to mention, and I'm guessing you can see it if you angle yourself in this manner, which is the Super Sport button, which I think that's pretty darn hot, man. because you don't see that quite often. The Super Sport button and the paddle shifters are obviously, it goes to show that this car can get a little bit racy if you wanted to, which is shown by the seats, by the way, which have a little bit of Alcantara up here by the shoulders. You don't really feel it all that much because predominantly you're on the leather. And then it's got, I guess it's aerodynamic for, I don't know what reason you're going to need aerodynamics inside an automobile, but at the very least it's there. And then of course a trophy stitching on the headrest itself. It says trophy because there's actually two variants available for the HS, which is the trophy and the alpha. This particular model is, well, obviously the trophy. Couple other things I may not have mentioned would be that there is a start-stop button. Obviously, power side mirrors, auto dimming here for your rear view, and of course, you've got your, as we mentioned much earlier, your panoramic sunroof, which thankfully it's not too warm today, so opening this up is actually a pretty cool treat. And finally, before we go on a drive, I guess you want to know what is under the hood. Let's do that right now. So up front, you are looking at a 1.5 liter. Oh, now you're just showing off. Up front, you are looking at a 1.5 liter turbocharged gasoline engine, which is a 4-cylinder that produces 167 horses and 250 Newton meters of torque, mated to a 7-speed TST or twin stride twin clutch Sportronic transmission. Just edit that out. Twin sport, what is it? Twin sport clutch. That, whatever Joey said. So basically, it's a dual clutch. So basically, like a Porsche's PDK or DCT that you're used to when we're talking about other automobiles. So we've gone to the transmission, we've got to the engine, we've got to the power figures. It does send all of it to the front wheels. So that will basically just do about it for the engine. Why don't we go for a quick drive right now? We're really not gonna go very far or very fast because we're in a private subdivision. So we're basically gonna be driving just to get a general feel of what the car feels like when you're traveling around at 30 kilometers per hour inside Metro Manila traffic. Wouldn't that be perfect? Yeah. Let's go for a drive. The new MG HS comes in two variants. The Alpha, available at 1,158,888 Philippine pesos, and then the Trophy, which is available at 1,208,888 Philippine pesos. If you're driving leisurely, a little bit of up and down here on this private subdivision, and we haven't gone past 40 kilometers per hour, it's a very comfortable car as a driver, and believe it or not, as a passenger, as Jack rather remarked earlier. What I will admittedly have found, and Joey as well confirmed it, is that the transmission can get, well, just a little bit laggy. When you floor it, when you're trying to pick up and getting a little bit more speed, when you want to, for example, climb a hill, it does get a little bit slow from time to time. And then let's say, for example, you're in park and you want to move it, say, to reverse. There's a little bit of a delay as well. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. It's just something that you may need to get accustomed to. And then there's the option of you maybe perhaps fixing it or figuring it yourself. Like, let's say, for example, if you were to use the paddles. The thing about using the paddles is you cannot use the paddles, and I think I've left the subdivision, so we have to go back. You cannot use the paddles when you're in normal mode. Mind you that there are actually 3 modes inside this automobile. There's normal, and then there's sport. Sport is when you take the gear shifter and you pop it into the right. That will take you into sport, and then your gauges will show sort of like a bright orange tone and hue to it. Then there's that button that we saw earlier, Super Sport, and when you press that, it turns somewhat reddish. And now those two modes, you can definitely use the paddle shifters then. However, I will admit that there is no way for us to tell exactly what the throttle response is like on sport and super sport, because although we can pop it into those modes and, let's say for example, climb a hill, it's really not gonna give you that much feedback as opposed to, let's say for example, using it out in the open road itself. But comfort wise, I will say that it is an extremely comfortable car. It's a relaxing drive. The touch of the steering wheel and the materials inside the automobile are good. There is no, I don't know if you've ever heard it before, there is no Chinese smell to it, meaning the glues that they used to use on other, well, much cheaper products. Here, no, it's good quality, it's high quality. And I'm not stressed at all about driving this automobile. My vision is pretty good. The A-pillars, although inside the automobile they are quite large, they don't necessarily impede your view at all. The side mirrors are a little bit off the body itself. There's a little bit of space, and trust me, that little bit of space is more than enough to put light inside the cabin, so it gives you more confidence when you're taking turns. Forgive me, I didn't show anyone exactly what we were talking about, the response, the delay in response. So it takes a while before it gets into reverse. And then there is obviously a reverse camera, which works well, but there is no 360-degree view. But the camera is actually pretty clear. There are sensors, obviously, all over the automobile. So it may not seem like it, that there was a delay, but because I'm speaking to you guys, but from reverse, when I pop it into drive, there is a little bit of a reverse. Okay, let's, rather a delay. Let's put it into park right now. I put it into park. The electronic parking brake will not automatically come on, but when I put it in drive, there's just a little bit of delay there. And then we'll move forward just a little bit, and we'll try to put it in reverse and move backward as quickly as possible. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Pop it in reverse. There's a little bit of a delay before things do start to happen for you, which is something that a lot of people will say makes the car feel sluggish. And I completely understand that. But really, when you're operating an automobile, you shouldn't be like the road runner trying to get there as quickly as possible. This isn't a sports car. That's one. And second, you could be carrying people inside the automobile that don't really necessarily want to be, I was going to say jerked around, but that would sound really, really bad. Thrown around inside the automobile when you're driving. So the car, at the very least, or this HS provides that. It provides comfort. It provides stability. And here's a dip right here. Oh, that was pretty good, man. Did anybody get thrown around in the cabin? No? Is everybody okay? Okay, class. Good class. Good class. Good. Now, as interesting as all of that may be, I do wish soon that we get this car, so that I want to know what it actually truly does feel like inside traffic. Does that sluggishness that I say isn't really an issue, is it going to be a problem when in traffic and you're trying to keep up with everybody else inside Metro Manila so that nobody cuts in front of you? Is that going to be an issue? Is it going to be frustrating to try and keep up with the car in front of you? And does the dual clutch, or the TST as it's called, is it something that when you're in traffic likes to surge forward even when you're not stepping on the accelerator, that eventually you need to ride on the brakes? Those questions, and of course the fuel efficiency, is really only something that we're going to be able to answer when we finally do a proper review for Behind the Wheel on this car. So if you could, do hit us with a subscription and a like so that you don't miss out on that particular review. I'm going to come to a complete stop here because it's important that we do, because I don't want to operate anything while I'm driving. There's a cool feature that I found in this car that's normally just available on more expensive automobiles, which is mood lighting. I don't know if you can see this because the light's pretty bright out now that the sun, but it's color red underneath, right? So that's pretty cool. But here's an even cooler part, that you can actually change the color of the lights. Comfort and convenience, yeah. Ambient light setting, you can change it. I don't know if you can see this, but you can customize the color. why can't, there you go. You can go from like purple to like light blue to orange to red to blue and back to red. Now, it may not seem like much, but this is actually a pretty cool feature to have because, well, when you're, let's say, for example, in sport or in super sport mode, and you put it in red ambient lighting, that's actually cool because it sort of like gets you in the mood, gets you in the spirit of driving like pretty intensely. But then when you're stuck in traffic, you can actually change that to a much cooler color, like blue or maybe like a light green, so that you don't get so aggravated when you're in traffic. And I know it's something really, really tiny, but, well, it just adds to, I guess, the plushness of the automobile. That's all. I just wanted to add that. Oh, wait a minute. There's two more. Yeah, there's two more. There are two cool things that I wanted to add just before we let you go. Is that number one, the door is really big and it goes all the way underneath. And that's pretty cool because no matter what you splash the car with, when you get in and out of the automobile, it's not gonna dirty your legs because it's not sticking on the inside of the car. That's pretty cool. Second is that the key, if I can get to it, the keys actually match the cars. This red HS, the key has a red accent. Joey was driving around the white HS and it's got a white accent on it. I just thought that'd be pretty cool. So this concludes our walk around of the 2022 MG HS, which launches today, by the way, and is available on our pages, AutoDeal.com.ph, and in 39 dealerships nationwide. If you'd like more information on the automobile and its variants and prices, visit our website because we definitely will have the Trophy and the Alpha models there for you to browse. This is all that we can do for now, but do stay tuned to our YouTube page by subscribing and liking it, because hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to get a proper review on behind the wheel on this MG HS. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe. See you soon.